A royal visit to a town can be quite an exciting occasion as schools get ready for the royal visitor, and they'll come out en masse to somewhere like here, Blackburn Cathedral, and as the royal visitor arrives they'll wave their flags and greet them. When Princess Margaret arrived here in 1965 to Blackburn Cathedral, she must have arrived at a scene of complete insanity, as the ground around us here at the cathedral was littered with collapsed people. This is the rather bizarre tale of the Blackburn fainting epidemic. Hi everybody, Matt back with you. Hope you're okay. I'm sure a lot of you, when you were school children, may have had a royal visitor to your town. I've actually been quite lucky. I've met the Queen and Prince Philip in Halifax, and as a school teacher I met Prince Charles in Todmorden. Haven't seen him for a while. But in 1965, here at Blackburn Cathedral, there was excitement in the air. Princess Margaret was going to come and visit, and all the school children of the area came into the grounds here and come waving their flags, waiting for Princess Margaret to arrive. However, there was a long delay, and hours passed. The princess was coming to re-hallow the newly restored nave of Blackburn Cathedral. So roughly 800 children were in the location here around the cathedral waiting for Princess Margaret, but she was delayed by at least 3 hours at this point, and it was an unnaturally warm October day. At one point though, one child said that they suddenly didn't feel very well and promptly fainted. But they were just the first. Suddenly there was another and another and another, and as the minutes passed, this area here was suddenly filled with collapsed children. So I'm just inside Blackburn Cathedral, and on my way in I've picked up a guide, and it's quite interesting. There's a timeline of events. Let's see what happened in 1965. So it actually says 1965, nave re-hallowed in the presence of Princess Margaret. So that means that despite all the madness going on outside, that event did still take place, which I think is quite interesting. So of the 800 children here, altogether about 140 of them collapsed, and 85 of them were sent to the hospital. So it was an incredible scene for the ambulance men to keep coming and stretchering people off to the hospital one by one. Extra beds had to be laid out at the hospital on the floor, just mattresses thrown on the floor. But as we found out, the event inside with Princess Margaret continued. And there are a few things to blame. Was it just the heat of the day, that they'd been standing here for hours with no food, no water, and it had all just got a bit too much for them? All at once like that seems very, very strange. But what's even more strange is that the next day at a school nearby here, I think just less than a mile from here, the faintings continued. So now I'm on King Street in Blackburn, and this was the location of St Hilda's Girls' School back in 1965. I believe it's gone and been replaced with another school. As you can possibly tell just from what's happening, every time I get the camera out, somebody's shouting at me. So I'm not going to search for any more locations here in Blackburn. I'll find a better spot where I can tell you the rest of the story. Okay, I've headed to the rather more beautiful and serene part of Blackburn, that is Corporation Park, and this place is well worth a visit if you find yourself in Blackburn. Very different to King Street where I've just been. However, the story continues because at St Hilda's Girls' School, the day after the royal visitor, extraordinary thing happened. Just at that one school, didn't happen anywhere else. Some of the girls from St Hilda's had been in the crowd at the Princess Margaret's arrival. Whether they had collapsed on that day or not, I'm not entirely sure. But over the course of that Friday, 95 girls at St Hilda's School collapsed. So that Friday, once again, ambulances going back and forth from the school to Parkley Hospital, which I've got a picture of. It looks like it's burnt down at some point after all this happened. If it's still there, apologies. It's said to be about 2 miles away from the school. And once again, these mattresses had to be laid down on the floor of the hospital just to accommodate all these girls going into it. But the decision was, once again, it was still the effects of the day before, that excitement, the possible dehydration, the heat. And the weekend came and went, seemingly no problems at home. So guess what happened when St Hilda's opened that Monday? Monday arrives, the school is open as normal at St Hilda's. But over the course of the day, 54 more pupils at the school collapse, fainted. The decision is quickly taken to close and seal the school to try and find out just what is going on. Like a scene from Doctor Who is how the press report happenings at St Hilda's School, which is fumigated, and the health inspectors are called in. They check the walls, the furniture, the water, and even the school tuck shop. The decision is that potentially the boilers in the school were old and causing the problems. But even the issue they've found with them, they decided was still not enough to have caused mass faintings. So if the school itself is deemed safe, kind of, that's not what's to blame for the fainting in the school, or of course the fainting that took place at the cathedral. We have to then ask the question, what is the answer here? Both in the immediate time afterwards and in the decades since, there have been numerous attempts to explain what happened in Blackburn in 1965. One thought was that toxic fumes from a factory could have escaped and affected the children. But why just the children? Another was like we've already mentioned. Dehydration, exhaustion, waiting in the heat had caused a mass fainting epidemic. But why would it have happened over a few days? Was it all fake? Had all the children made up what had happened just so they could escape from the crowd, or get out of going to lessons at school, or just so that they also could tell the story that they'd also fainted? There had been a recent polio outbreak in Blackburn in that year, which had seen a lot of mass anxiety with parents and children. Was it the effects of that? Viruses, food poisoning, both also potential causes. But once again, why only those children? Eventually it was decided to be two possible outcomes. One of those was mass hysteria, where one child had fallen ill and the others had followed suit. And the second was that it was caused by over-breathing. And that is what caused the 300 children over those few days to faint. But was that truly the answer? None of the children affected ever seemed to have any side effects after that hysteria took place. So that is the story of the Blackburn fainting epidemic of 1965, coming up to 60 years old this October. What do you think happened in those extraordinary few days here in Blackburn, both at the cathedral and the school? Is it mass hysteria? Is that a good word for it? Or is it just a load of kids going, if I pretend to faint, I can have a day off? It never happened again in Blackburn. It did happen at other schools in different areas, not quite to the same degree. It didn't involve 300 people and over a period of time. Yeah, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Or maybe you were one of the girls 60 years ago. Some of you will definitely still be around, so let me know. In the meantime, like, share, comment and subscribe, all the usual stuff. And we'll see you for the next video very soon. Bye for now.